I saw 15 new movies in the month of August. Today we're going to talk about them, rank them, and tier them? Is that a term? What's up, Flick fans? Fun things in store on this channel, but today we're tiering movies. I watched 15 new ones, a couple that I missed that I definitely want to get to, but right now we're talking the movies that I saw. If you like these monthly tier lists, the best way to let me know is by dropping that thumbs up, but really share this video with your friends and leave a comment. What movie stinks on this list? By the way, this video will be shorter than usual because we talked about a lot of these on the summer tier list. Let's start with Tartakovsky's Fixed. If you don't know who he is like a master animator. Some of the best TV shows of all time. Primal, Dexter's Laboratory, the list goes on, Samurai Jack. But his passion project for a long time has been this weird dog movie where he's about to get fixed and realizes he's got to go live his life and hump things.
You what?
It's like sending your son off to college. You just hope that's not the case, right? But the dogs are doing it. It's a grotesque, kind of dirty, sexual, animated film that is not for kids. And so if anyone wants their kids to watch this, please don't. And like I said before, it just doesn't work. The humor feels repetitive. The story doesn't really go anywhere until the third act when it finally becomes interesting and has something to say, but I think it's too little too late at that point. I love the voice actors here, from Idris Elba to, Adam Devine? He's good. Unfortunately, this is just a bad 90-minute experience that could have been 15. Go from one animated movie to another, and this is a sequel to a really popular DreamWorks film in The Bad Guys, and neither of which did very well at the box office. I thought the second one would see a huge increase based on the love for the first, but I didn't really feel that. I don't know why. Actually, I've not checked how it's doing on subsequent weekends, so maybe it's recovered. Regardless, the voice cast is great. The animation is just really, really good across the board. No complaints on that front. And the story this time around, it's the bad guys trying to be good guys, but they get caught up in another thing that pulls them back in, and then they start to realize maybe we weren't meant to be good because no one around us wants to take us seriously. And that's a really nice message for an animated film that appeals to kids and adults, families alike, and it's one of the better heist movies I've seen that appeals to all audiences. And so it doesn't do anything phenomenally, and there's not that like standout moment like the first movie, but everything's really consistent, and it's consistently good, and so I've got to put it on the good tier. War of the Worlds. We've talked about this plenty on this channel, to the point where I really can't, I can't take this movie seriously anymore. I've tried, man. But Ice Cube staring at a screen for 2 hours and just the green screen appearing in his glasses because they forgot to edit that part out. I mean, it's so bad. But it's so bad, it's kind of good. I've been telling you for a while, if I get enough likes on this video, I'm doing a watch-along. I've been planning on it. I want to get my brother. He's sick right now, so he can't do it. But I want to get my brother down here to do a War of the Worlds watch-along reaction. I think that would be so much fun. I'm not going to say much more here because I want to leave it to that. And I've said all I've needed to say in other videos. And so let's just do what we all thought needed to be done. Awful, a.k.a. War of the Worlds. All right, let's get into the legacy sequels. Two that I was very skeptical of. The first one, Freakier Friday. I didn't really love the trailer, and to be honest with you, the first 15 minutes of this movie, I'm sitting back going, this is very cheesy, but not in a sweet way, more like a Netflix rom-com kind of way. And if you know me, you know that's like my kryptonite, and I'm thinking this is going to be a disaster. And that's the way I was feeling for about 20 minutes. Thankfully, as soon as they switch bodies or get up to that point, the movie gets better. All four of these performances shine. Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, but then the two new young actresses here do a great job of embodying our characters that we know and love. And honestly, all four performances are awesome. And so even though the story is silly and cliche and it's all building up to this one thing and you know how it's going to go, and the fact that they're switching bodies, they make some comedic moments out of that. And those are funny-ish, but it's really just the banter and the interactions. That's what I was there for. The style is cute enough. Feels like an early 2000s movie in that way. And then you've got the silliness of the coming-of-age stuff, which I didn't really like. But those core four are fantastic, and that elevates it to the okay tier for me. It's a sweet film. The Naked Gun. And I said it before, I'll say it again, said it in the summer tier list. This is my cup of tea when it comes to humor. I love over-the-top, aggressive, ridiculous, pushing the boundary type of humor. Look, it's 2025. Not everyone loves humor that pushes boundaries. Trust me. I do. I want to make you cry. Or you make me cry. If you make me laugh, I'll take it, even if you're making fun of me. And that's the kind of humor that I like. And I'm not saying The Naked Gun is that style, but it is bringing back that over-the-top, slapsticky humor that was prevalent in the 70s and 80s, a little bit in the 90s, that I love, man. And we haven't had a great satire in so long. And I do like the scary movies. Those are funny, but more scarce, fewer and farther in between. The Naked Gun is a great example of what it should be. It's not trying to outdo the original. It's a different type of lead in Liam Neeson, but it doesn't compromise what we loved about the first few. It really doesn't even need to connect. It doesn't make sense when you try to make sense of it. But if you're trying to make sense of a Naked Gun movie, there's where your problem lies. I'm putting The Naked Gun on the great tier. I loved this. Story's weird, but who cares? The Pickup. What if AI wrote a movie starring Pete Davidson, Eddie Murphy, and Keke Palmer, and it was a heist film? And that's literally what this feels like. And I don't know if there's much more to say. I mean, Pete Davidson is constantly trying to interject humor, and all of it feels really awkward. Like, Palmer's character is so obvious where she's going and what she's trying to be. Eddie Murphy is such a wasted talent nowadays, consistently popping up in these Amazon Prime movies or Netflix films. Like, dude, come back to the theater. We love you. We miss you. We want you in a great comedic role, a little long, a great role in general that we know is there. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm very confused as to why he's doing this. I get it's a money thing, and they probably made bank doing The Pickup, but it feels like one of those tax write-off films. It is just a nothing burger of a movie. It's not atrocious. I've seen worse examples. I've seen worse stories. But something within that, not being laughably bad, makes it even more of a lame experience. And so I'm going The Pickup on the bad tier. Speaking of nothing movies, Honey Don't. Finally, we're getting to a movie that I haven't talked about yet. It was such a bland, blank experience, like, really good performances. I think Margaret Qualley's actually fantastic in this film. And a couple of nice comedic moments between her and some others. I think some of that humor complementing the style that Ethan Coen so obviously still has. But the Coen brothers need each other. They just do. Like, Ethan Coen's ventures haven't worked at all. Joe Coen hasn't, like, appealed to a mass audience like he used to. And I feel like they just need to get back together because this is not working. Now, I'm hearing his next movie is better, and maybe it is, but Honey Don't is style over substance, 100%. I like the filmmaking behind some of the shots, showcasing this area and this withered down town and how this, mystery could be appealing if it was written any better, but it's not. I mean, the mystery does nothing here. No heavy lifting whatsoever. You're kind of in it for the characters, but even then, there's some strange decisions. I like Chris Evans in the film. I enjoyed his performance, but I ultimately don't know the point of spending so much time on him. Like, if it wasn't Chris Evans, I feel like they wouldn't have spent that much time on him. And Margaret Qualley and Aubrey Plaza, they do have chemistry, but when it comes to how this story plays out, I just felt nothing by the end. I think this is a legitimately bad movie. It's not bad on the level of War of the Worlds, but in terms of my expectations and what I ultimately got, I would say it's even more disappointing than The Pickup and Fixed. I would say this is just a really poorly put together film because it doesn't deliver anything for the audience other than a couple of great performances. And so Honey Don't it's a bad movie. Eanie Meanie. Samara Weaving, Steve Zahn, Andy Garcia. It's a really good cast. It's a little bit of a Baby Driver type of story where she started out as like this teenage getaway driver. Then she's trying to make her life right over the last year, and you kind of get into that over the first 30 minutes of this movie. And I really liked the relationship with her friend. I enjoyed her screen presence. She is a really talented actress, love seeing her on screen. But as she's thrust back into this world, and I do believe that first chase sequence is pretty fun, where she's running with her naked ex-boyfriend and they're, trying to escape, and she's obviously put back into the situation that she was in as a teenager, so that was really cool to see. But then you start to get into the mystery of it all and why they're after him, and you bring in all of these other characters, and some of them are interesting, played by really good actors. Others are not very interesting. And it gets caught up in a web of uninteresting plot points through and through to where it starts to take away from the really fun things that it was building up. And I liked the sensibilities in the beginning. I think this is a really entertaining movie for a half, but the back half was just kind of meh. It didn't really resolve the problems in a way that I was hoping for. That was super interesting. I thought the writing fell off a cliff at one point in the film, and it just didn't really deliver in a satisfying way. It's not bad. I enjoy the performances and really that sense of style in the beginning. It's nothing like Baby Driver. I guess tonally it is, but stylistically, it's not like Baby Driver. But from a story standpoint, you could say it starts to play out in that way. Ultimately, not on that level, but not the worst thing in the world. I'm going meh tier. Next up, solving cold case murders for fun. A couple of individuals in a senior living home, and they're deciding, you know what, we're gonna make a club. We're gonna solve mysteries. That's great. But all of a sudden, someone is actually murdered, and Pierce Brosnan, Ben Kingsley, Helen Mirren, they've got to solve this mystery. But they're recruiting someone new to their group after one of their old members is no longer able to do it, and that makes for a really fun, at least a fun first 45 minutes where we're trying to get to know them, and they do play into the type of actor that they are, their characters. But ultimately, I really enjoyed this quartet, these four on screen together. In comes Naomi Ackie, a police officer, and she's a lot younger, obviously, but she's kind of feeding them information. And so it was really a sweet story. You know, ultimately, I thought the mystery was very generic and cliche, just kind of the writing of where the plot goes compared to the actual dialogue between our characters, and even that dialogue, the way that they structured it. I feel like I started to learn a lot about them in the beginning when they're telling all of this new member the information, and then they kind of drop off of that. And I get it, it's a lot of exposition, but it becomes less fun when the murder mystery is the focal point. And that's when I didn't care as much. And that's when I'm kind of like, all right, we're losing a little bit of this luster, this magic. So The Thursday Murder Club is a sweet time on Netflix. Next up, Night Always Comes. Vanessa Kirby's character is someone who's very down on her luck, is in a horrible situation. She's got to keep those that she loves safe, but at the same time, she's got to find a lot of money to pay this person who is it's not a very good situation. Jennifer Jason Leigh's in this film. Zach Gottsagen, really nice to see him from Peanut Butter Falcon stardom, and I was really excited to see specifically Kirby, to see if she could carry this film on her shoulders. And as good as her performance is, I just feel like the writing is so slow, plodding, uninteresting in this film. I really wanted the style to carry us home, because I do like the look and some of the shots, specifically of the cars, and it almost made me feel like the griminess of Good Time, Uncut Gems, like a Safdie brother type of film. I just don't think the idea is good enough for. I don't think the script does any heavy lifting here, and so you're stuck with a story that becomes slowly less interesting than it even is in the beginning, and it wasn't really interesting in the beginning. And I like the fact that she's in a horrible situation. She's got to dig herself out of this hole, but the way that they go about it is not my cup of tea when it comes to pacing. And I love slow burns, but this one was way too slow of a burn, and I do not think the script comes together. And so Night Always Comes on the bad tier. Next up, Nobody 2. This is the perfect example of a movie that didn't need to be anything insane plot-wise. Now, I do wish there was a little more to it. I actually wish there was a little less to it. The villain at the main end of the movie felt very unnecessary, and they could have done a little more with the police involved and made that like a, and I said this in my review, like a Rebel Ridge type situation, instead of, oh, we're bringing in the big boss, and the big boss is just a cartoon character. I don't know about that decision, man. It ruined that part of the film, but the big shootout at the end of the throwdown and bringing everybody in, it did kind of set that up, and so that was really fun. Ultimately, this is kind of what you want it to be, but not what you need it to be. I needed a little more substance. Is it disappointing that the plot's not nearly as good as the first movie? Yes, but you still get to see a lot of great action. The director determined what this movie would be, and I love his prior work action-wise. That's exactly what he delivers here. It looks outstanding. The choreography, the way it's shot, the brutality of it, man. They hold nothing back, and Odenkirk just masters this world. And I would say John Wick-esque, but really it's different. This movie's a lot different than that, a lot more simplified. And so I'm going to put Nobody 2. It's very close to good, but I am ultimately going to say okay because of the lack of substance. Caught Stealing is one of those that's like right on the fringe for me because I think it's missing something that ultimately keeps it from being a great experience. But what Darren Aronofsky is able to capture here, very Guy Ritchie-esque, and everybody said that in their reviews, I'm just throwing that in, and you saw that in my short review, I think there's something here. I think there's something magical that could make this not just a one-time watch, but maybe a 2 or 3 time watch, and something that I'm going to enjoy going back to. It's a guy in a crap situation, another good time comparison, not style-wise, but story-wise, that has to dig himself out of this hole, but he keeps making, I'm not going to say the wrong decision, but a decision that digs that hole deeper, and Butler really does carry this movie on his shoulders. I believe that. I think this is a great example of what Darren Aronofsky is capable of, implementing the style that we know and love from him, but with a script that's very gritty, grimy, 90s action comedic thriller that has this flair that you just don't see a lot of anymore. That to me is cool. As many issues as I could point out with where this goes, and ultimately I wasn't super satisfied with the finale of this film. I'm like, yeah, I could have used a little more there. But it's so fun along the way, and the roles of like Liv Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio, it's just everybody's having a blast. Zoe Kravitz, Butler, their chemistry is awesome. I think the cast is truly having the time of their lives here. And while it goes in wacky directions, I can't help but to think this is a good, if not great movie. We'll see where it goes when I watch it again. But right now, I'm going to play it safe. Highest to lowest. Much more flawed. The first act of Highest to Lowest is one of the weirdest, strangest, and I'd say poorly edited Spike Lee movies I've ever seen, and I'm so off board with the first act, but it progressively gets better. See, when a movie ends strong, it's way better than starting strong because you're ramping and amping up the stakes and the atmosphere, and in this case, Spike Lee's style really starts to come into play. A great moment between A$AP Rocky and Denzel Washington. Never thought I'd say that before, but it was great, and Washington is elite in this film. Like, if this movie didn't get off to such a rough start, this would put Denzel in the conversation. It really would. But Denzel is so good. A movie that's just different. It just plays on its own wavelength, which I really appreciate. And as rough as maybe one or two of the performances are, and I'm not going to say which ones, I said in my review, I think the rest of it is magnificent with the way it plays out. And I'd also say Jeffrey Wright steals the show here. And so Highest to Lowest for me is ultimately a good movie, but it was on a really poor pace in the beginning. We talked about Eden already. Ron Howard, based on a true story. A great cast. Ana de Armas, Jude Law, Sydney Sweeney, Vanessa Kirby. Once again, man, Vanessa Kirby is all over the place in 2025, which I'm fine with. No one seems to be complaining about that. They're only talking about Pedro Pascal, but they're both... regardless, Eden is fine. Gets off to a strong start. I could see this being like, not a cult classic, but kind of one that plays better as time moves on, because I don't see Eden as like a theater watch. I see Eden as a movie that comes on TNT at 7 o'clock on a Thursday, and you're just like, there's nothing else to do. Let's watch this weird movie with a great cast. And it's fine. And I think the idea of these people coming to this island, trying to build this new world, this new life for themselves, and that's not going to work out great for people, because not only do you have to fend off nature, but you have to get along. Oh, no. Doesn't work out for a lot of them. But I think the first half is much stronger than the second half. I wasn't really interested in where this went, and it does kind of slog, like trudge along, snail's pace, at its own very boring and uninteresting rate. Ron Howard is a solid director, but he's not injecting that sense of style that I know from him in his past films that are significantly better than the movies he's made as of late. So Eden is meh. Finally, Weapons. I won't say too much. You guys know I love it. It's a fantastic film. It is a blockbuster horror action thriller, rampant pacing. Zach Cregger is one of my new favorite, like, up-and-coming directors. Not one of my favorite directors, because I need to see a bigger sample size, but the sample size so far is really good, and I'm even including Whitest Kids You Know, which is what he worked on. Back in my day, when I was growing up, those skits were great. That and Key and Peele and Mad TV. But I love everything he brings to the table here. You can tell who he's referencing in his work. It's very Spielbergian. It's very Prisoners. It's very, some people said Conjuring, not necessarily the story, but the way that the scares are executed. I could see that. So I've come around on that. But ultimately, this is awesome. It's a combination of everything you love about filmmaking. And Austin, it doesn't answer all my questions, like, where did character X come from? Well, we weren't asking that with Joker in The Dark Knight. Like, I like the mystery surrounding it all. And the idea of doing a prequel, which is what they're discussing, scares the hell out of me. So I don't know if I want that, but I do want to go back and watch Weapons again because it's awesome. The ending, I'm still not sure what to feel, but the journey is awesome. Before we rank, let me know your thoughts down below. Did you enjoy this video? What is a movie that I forgot? Plenty of films that I didn't see, and I've got a pretty strong watch list from this month that I need to check out. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, man. Again, we got some cool things coming to this channel. Hit that notification bell. At the bottom is maybe the worst movie of the year. Probably so that's not going anywhere. I'm going to pick up next because it is just, man, this was a rough movie to get through. Honey Don't is so many great elements, right? But it ultimately amounts to nothing because the script is nothing. What a weird experience. Then I have Fixed. Fixed is just, I mean, it's great animation across the board. I love the look of it, but these jokes are repetitive and it just doesn't amount to anything. Followed by Night Always Comes. Great potential, but it was pretty boring. On the meh tier. I'm going Eanie Meanie right behind Eden because I think Eden, there are better elements there that could have made a great film. On the okay tier. A bad first act of Freakier Friday puts it on the bottom, followed by the Thursday Murder Club. Very sweet, but, you know, the mystery wasn't much. And then Nobody 2. It is what it is, a fun action romp. On the good tier, let's go highest to lowest right where it is. The Bad Guys 2 is super fun, one of the better, I'd say, animated movies of the year. And then Caught Stealing, man, what a nice surprise there. I really enjoyed this movie, but it falls short of the stupidity of The Naked Gun, which I love. I love the silly, dumb jokes. That's my cup of tea. And finally, as expected, Weapons is awesome. Weapons is a movie that if you haven't seen, you've got to go check. I think it went right back to #1 this weekend at the box office, so it's crushing, making all kinds of money. Thank you so much for watching. Fall movie preview is coming. We're going to count down my most anticipated, starting the Oscar season off right as well, man. We're going to have some Oscar predictions coming down the pipeline, as well as some brand new movies. Thanks for watching. See you soon.